guys, today we're going to read a book that I absolutely love called The Great Kapok Tree by Lynn Cherry. Then when we're finished, we're going to complete a directed drawing together of one of our characters. Let's get started. Two men walked into the forest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the great kapok tree. Then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack! The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop! The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon that man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and the hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. A boa constrictor that lived in the great kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man had been sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Senor, this tree is the tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Please don't chop it down. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Senor, my hive is in the kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and the flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all the living things depend on one another. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man, Senor, we have seen the ways of the man. You chop down one tree, then you come back for another and another. And the roots of these great trees just wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. And when the heavy rains comes, the soil will be washed away and the forest will become a desert. A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. Senor, cut down this tree, you must not. We have flown over the rainforest and have seen what happens once you begin to chop down trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the whole forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins will remain. A bright and small green tree frog crawled along the edges of the leaf, and in a squeaky voice he piped in the man's ear. Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives. And you will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. But because his spotted coat blended in with the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one even noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? Four tree porcupines swung down from the branch to branch to branch and whispered to the man, Senor, do you know what animals and humans need to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy what gives each of us life. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Senor, you are chopping down the tree with no thought for the future. And surely you know what happens tomorrow depends upon what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He doesn't think of his own children who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. And a three-toed sloth, who had began climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared, showed up. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding over slowly to the sleeping man, she spoke in a deep, lazy voice. Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what will you feast your eyes? The child of the Yanamoa tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over this sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, Senor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes. The man awoke from a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him staring with creatures who depended upon the Great Kapok Tree. What a wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy, and spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange, beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the Great Kapok Tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of the flowers, and he felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood, picked up his axe, and swung it back his arm as though to strike the tree, and suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and at the child. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. So now what we're going to do a directed drawing, which means I'm going to show you exactly step by step what to do, and you're going to do it. We're going to do it of the toucan. Now, I'm not a great artist, so do the best you can. I'm going to do the best I can. Let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do on the right-hand side of your paper, you're going to draw a straight line pretty far down your paper. Then go to the top of that line and you're going to draw a backwards C. Okay. Now go to the bottom of the first line we drew. And you're going to draw a slight curved line and connect it to the bottom. Just look something like this for now. The next step we're doing is go to the top of our first line again. You're going to draw that line all the way off the edge of your paper. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Go to the bottom, curved line, off your paper. So yours should look something like this right now. The next step we're going to do is we're going to go to the top of our first line again. And we're going to draw a line that's curved all the way to that corner again. Then go to the bottom of our first line again. We're coming back and forth to this line. We're going to draw an arched line and connect it to the one we just drew. We're almost done. Now, we're going to draw one more arched line over here on the bottom. Connect it again. We have to draw his eye and one more line on his beak. So we're going to draw this line on the beak. Now, an eyeball. Draw a big oval. Inside that oval, you're going to draw another oval. Then finally, you're going to draw the bubble or the eye and color it all the way in. Color it all the way in. And your toucan should look something like this. Now you can color your toucan however you want. I chose to color mine with orange, but in the book, here's what mine looks like, a colored one. I did orange here, but in the book, this was blue. So you can look up pictures of toucans and color it however you want. Good luck.